Let's talk about the New Orleans Saints because their NFL draft was a very good one, in my opinion. And this is the last stand for Derek Carr and Dennis Allen to actually have some success with the Saints. Because if they don't, after this season, they may all be gone. Now, the New Orleans Saints are bringing over some brand new coaches as well to help out this offense. I do want to start off with their offense. They have a lot of good pieces. Chris Olave is a true number one wide receiver. Rashid Shaheed is a very good wide receiver as well. And I like Juwan Johnson. Bringing in a brand new offensive coordinator is going to do wonders for the New Orleans Saints. Dennis Allen has been the head coach of this team since Sean Payton retired, and then Sean Payton came back and he went to Denver Broncos. But they had Pete Carmichael calling plays. He was a terrible offensive coordinator. He is now back with the Denver Broncos. He's a senior offensive consultant. Hopefully he can have some success over there because they did not have any success underneath him when he was an offensive coordinator. Now, when I look at the offensive coordinator that they're bringing in Clint Kubiak, he's had some success around the NFL. Hopefully, he can come in and use Alvin Kamara in the right way. Alvin Kamara has not looked the same on the field since Sean Payton has left. And Alvin Kamara is still a very good running back. He has the same skill set as Christian McCaffrey. Not calling him Christian McCaffrey. He could catch the football at the backfield. He can make moves inside the slot, and he could be that very good receiving back for you, and he can run in between the tackles. This offense should run through Alvin Kamara. That is how great of a running back he is. We can go back a couple of years ago, back to his rookie season, when it was him and Mark Ingram, and they kind of have that formula right now. Now, they also have to depend on Alvin Kamara staying healthy because he's dealt with some injuries over the last couple of years. He was suspended for the first 3 games of this season because of some things that transpired off the field. But he had a solid season, but it wasn't the best season for Alvin Kamara. A lot of that's because Pete Carmichael called the same dink and dunk plays over and over again. They rarely ever took deep shots down the field. And when they did, it was just basically go routes by Chris Olave or Juwan Johnson going up the seam. That was it. You have to get more creative in the pass game to help out a quarterback like Derek Carr. And also this as well, their offensive line was not good, and their offensive line dealt with injuries. Ryan Ramczyk may miss all this upcoming season because of a knee injury. I hope that is not the case because Ryan Ramczyk is one of the best tackles in the NFL, and he's elite. They're going to have to select an offensive lineman in the first round regardless because Trevor Penning, the guy they selected in the first round a couple of years ago, he's a bust. He's not good right now. He can get better in the future, but as of right now, he's a terrible tackle. So in the first round, they drafted Taliese Fuaga, a very good opposing tackle. And you may ask yourself, how is this a different tackle than Trevor Penning? Well, when Trevor Penning came out of the NFL draft, he was known to win with his size. And a lot of people looked at him as being a dirty player because of how aggressive he was. He didn't have the technique. Fuaga has the technique coming out of college. He's quick on his feet, can deal with quicker defensive linemen, and is an opposing tackle. I think on day one, he's going to be a starter, and he's going to be great for the New Orleans Saints. And they needed to bring in some offensive line help because we can go back early in the regular season when they lost against the Green Bay Packers when Jameis Winston had to come in. If they would have won that game, they possibly would have made the NFL playoffs. Derek Carr had to exit that game because he kept getting beat up over and over again. And that was the case throughout this entire season. The offensive line let up a lot of pressure. It let up a lot of sacks. Now, Derek Carr did not play his best either. But there's only so much a guy like Derek Carr can do when the offensive line is terrible. And the New Orleans Saints offensive line regressed this season. Hopefully, Clint can come in, take a lot of pressure off of Derek Carr, run the football, and run the offense through Alvin Kamara, work that into play action with Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. This isn't a terrible offense personnel-wise. Derek Carr is not a top 15, not a top 10 quarterback, but he's not terrible. You could say that he's a backup quarterback at the stage of his career. That may be the case, but you can still get some good play out of Derek Carr with the right coaching, and especially with the pieces that they have around them. But I am worried about Ryan Ramczyk if he's not going to be able to play for this upcoming season. They also signed Cedric Wilson. Cedric Wilson, very good number 3 wide receiver. As long as he can go out there in the slot and do his thing, very good with yards after the catch, run after the catch. I don't expect for him to go out there and have over 500 to 600 receiving yards in the season, but he's going to fit very well alongside Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Now, I do want to talk about Derek Carr here. Derek Carr signed an extension with the Saints in last offseason. This season was not a very good season for Derek Carr. I know a lot of people look at his numbers. They say, hey, Derek Carr had a solid season. He's done this year after year with the Raiders before. 25 passing touchdowns to 8 interceptions, those aren't bad numbers. But let's look at the first 12 games of the season. 11 passing touchdowns to 6 interceptions. The last 5 games of the season against weaker competition, 14 passing touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He did play better during that 5-game stretch, but it needs to be consistent. He misses too many throws, and him and Chris Olave were not on the same page. You give those guys another year together, they should be on the same page. The same with him and Rashid Shaheed. Jawan Johnson missed a lot of time dealing with an ankle injury. I think that he can be a very good receiving tight end if you want to run the offense through him in certain sets. And we can also go through another game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The tight end dropped the ball in the back of the red zone. And I understand if it wasn't for that Christian Kirk play when he basically did a stick and go move and it went for a 44-yard touchdown, a lot of people blame the defense. But if that tight end catches that pass, the Saints possibly go out there, they win that game. And they for sure would have made the NFL playoffs. They would have held on to that lead against the Packers, and they would have held on to that game against the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. Those are 2 games. And the Saints missed the playoffs by 2 games. Then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wouldn't have been in that situation right there. So you have to look at those things as well. So the Saints, they're not far off. With better coaching and with just better plays here and there, they could be a playoff caliber team. I like the offensive pieces that they have, and I like the guys that they brought into the team through the NFL draft. But it's going to come down to Derek Carr. Can he also be better in the red zone? I will say this as well. Derek Carr's numbers throughout the red zone throughout his entire career have not been good. Derek Carr is a red zone quarterback with the Raiders. Those last 4 years were abysmal. On the last 8 games of this season, the red zone offense did get better. And a lot of that was basically because Pete Carmichael was a terrible offensive coordinator. You have to know when to blame the quarterback and when to blame the coaching. It's only so much Derek Carr can do when you're running slants straight into coverage. Either Derek Carr's going to throw the football away or he's going to throw it straight into coverage. And then for those last 8 games, he'll just throw the football away, and then they'll just try to punch it in with a guy like Alvin Kamara or Jamal Williams when he was healthy. And they also bring in Jamal Williams. He missed a lot of time. And Jamal Williams, just the season before, led the league in rushing touchdowns. Very good power back. But the thing is with Jamal Williams, he's not going to go out there and average 4 to 5 yards a carry. He's not an explosive running back. Very good running back. When you need 3 to 4 yards, he can come in and he can give you that good production. This is where I talk about that Alvin Kamara and the Mark Ingram situation. Mark Ingram came in. He was the guy with the sledgehammer, while Alvin Kamara came in and he was the lightning. You can have this similar system if Jamal Williams can stay healthy. You can just have Jamal Williams on 1st and 2nd down, or even when it's 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 2, put him in the game. But let Alvin Kamara do more of the receiving work and let him do the fancy running back stuff. So you can have a split carry of both of those guys. And I do believe they will benefit both of them moving forward. You could take some mileage off of Alvin Kamara's body, and the same with Jamal Williams as well. The thing is with Clint Kubiak, he loves to split running backs. So we'll see how that transpires as the season does approach. As far as the defense for the Saints, this has been the strong suit of the Saints since Dennis Allen has taken over. He's the former defensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints, and he's a very good defensive mind. I have my questions about him as a head coach. I do not believe that he's a very good head coach. He hasn't proved this so far. He was a terrible coach for the Raiders. He hasn't been a good coach with the Saints either, because this is what the Saints will do. They'll break even. They'll possibly be 6-6, and the next thing you know, they win their next 3 games. So the numbers look better. But he's been out-coached before, and he does a lot of things that head coaches shouldn't do. He burns timeouts, just a lot of things that young coaches would do. And he doesn't get that excuse because this is not his first time being a head coach. This is his 2nd stint, and this may be his last stint with the Saints. He brought in Pete Carmichael to call plays. He wanted Derek Carr to be his quarterback as well because that was his former quarterback with the Raiders. If it doesn't work out this season, they have to get rid of Derek Carr and Pete Carmichael. But when I look at the defense of the Saints, it's very good. Like I mentioned before, they have a lot of good players. Cameron Jordan is definitely on the back end of his career. He only had 2 sacks this season, was dealing with an injury, but just a year before, the sack production is starting to dip. You need to get the most out of this roster while you can, and that's why they've been continuing to kick the can down the road. Your secondary could be elite in the NFC. If Marshawn Lattimore can stay healthy, who is a very good cornerback, who's a true number 1. Paulson Adebo, I like his game a lot. Alontae Taylor has good potential as well. And they drafted Kool-Aid McKinstry in the 2nd round. Kool-Aid McKinstry should have won in the 1st round. The cornerback from Alabama, 6'1", can move around, can play all over the field. phenomenal cornerback, but he's primarily an outside corner. He reminds me a lot of Patrick Surtain when he came out of Alabama. Not calling him Patrick Surtain by any means, but do not be surprised this kid can go out there and possibly win Defensive Rookie of the Year if he is fully healthy. He's dealing with a foot injury right now, but he is on pace to play for the regular season. You have a very good rotation in that secondary. As a matter of fact, you want to trade one of these pieces, you probably could. I wouldn't do that. I would keep all these guys together. They're young in that secondary, especially that cornerback spot. Marshawn Lattimore is getting older, but like I mentioned before, it's still a true number one cornerback in the NFL. But Alontae Taylor is the player to look out for. He could possibly be that 1B to that Marshawn Lattimore 1A. 14 pass deflections, 2 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, 56 solo tackles on the season. Just a very good playmaking cornerback in that secondary. Paulson Adebo, 18 pass deflections. That was third in the NFL. 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and 60 solo tackles. A lot of people want to come out and say this about the Saints. Well, their defense was no good after week 6, after they averaged a turnover per game. Their defense was dealing with injuries. And even when they were dealing with injuries, they were still in games because of their defense. A lot of that comes from Dennis Allen. I give him a lot of flack as a head coach, but he can coach up a mean defensive game and he can scheme for the opposing quarterback. They'll have a couple broken plays here and there, but the coverage is all tucked in. We can go back and look at that Jaguars game. The defense was there. Trevor Lawrence was dealing with an injury, but the defense kept everything together. Can this offense match up the intensity with the defense? You also have Demario Davis, who's a slept-on linebacker, one of the better linebackers in the NFL. He is getting older, but he's still playing at a high level. 74 solo tackles, 6.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. And this team did go out there, and they made a sneaky move. They brought in another linebacker to come in and help out Demario Davis. And I do think that Willie Gay, who is coming over from the Kansas City Chiefs, I think that he can be a game wrecker. The way that Dennis Allen likes to use his linebackers, he should have a lot of success with the New Orleans Saints moving forward. And I do think him playing alongside a guy like Demario Davis, he's going to get free range to just run around. He's going to be like a bull out there. He was a very good linebacker with the Chiefs, just dealt with injuries. A very good run-stopping linebacker and is solid against the pass as well. I like the defense of the Saints. This could easily be a top 5 to top 10 defense in the NFL if the offenses just go out there and score points. If this offense could average 21 to 24 points a game, they're going to be golden. Because we know the defense, even with dealing with injuries, Dennis Allen's going to prepare those guys. And I do believe that he's a better suited defensive coordinator than he is a head coach. If you ask me right now, are the Saints a true contender in this division to win this division? Yes. Really, every single team in this division is a true contender. It's a weak division, but it's a competitive division as well. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers won this division last season. The Falcons, they're going to be contenders with Kirk Cousins. We'll see what their defense can do. And the thing is, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're bringing over a brand new offensive coordinator. There's going to be some change there. The Panthers, brand new head coach and Dave Canales. Is Bryce Young the guy? Is he not? We will see. So it's a lot of question marks for every single team, like how it is every single year. But this is why it's a perfect time for the Saints to go out there. They have the most veterans on this roster in this division. All the players on this team that are some of the better players in this division are over the age of 30. Which is crazy. So they have that NFL experience. The thing is, for the Saints, this is a make or break year. If they go out there and they make the playoffs, they win a playoff game or two, great. If they miss the playoffs again, by any means, Dennis Allen has to go. They also drafted Spencer Rattler as well, because I know a lot of people are asking me about that leading up to the draft process and how do I feel about the Saints drafting him. I think that he could be a very good quarterback for the Saints if developed correctly in the next 3 to 4 years. He's not ready to play right now. No way in hell he should have slid to the 5th round. I know it was a report of people saying, well, insiders basically saying this, that certain GMs didn't feel good about him because of a high school clip that was going on the Netflix show. Completely ridiculous. I don't believe that. The kid was 16, 17 years old at that time. He's now in his early 20s. You change a lot between those years. I think that Spencer Rattler has been humbled a lot from what happened in college with the Caleb Williams situation. He was a star quarterback at Oklahoma. Then Caleb Williams came in, and next thing you know, he had to go transfer. And he was not viewed as the same. This is one of those situations. You draft a player in the 5th round. He could possibly be a franchise quarterback. I wouldn't go that far, but I do think he could be very good. Has a solid arm, good accuracy, very good anticipation. His anticipation is crazy. He is slimmer than the prototypical quarterback. You want to put some weight on him, but he can spin the football. He has a special arm. But let me know in the comment section below, How do you guys feel about the New Orleans Saints, and what should they do moving forward with this roster? I will also say this as well. You have to find a way to use Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill's still making a lot of money. He's a quarterback slash running back slash fullback slash everything with the Saints. Find a way to use him. If Juwan Johnson does go down again, put this kid at the tight end spot, put him as slot wide receiver. Use him the way that Sean Payton used him, because it opens up the offense. It actually can open up plays and creases for Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams as well. You can also put Taysom Hill at running back if need be. Just do whatever it takes, because he's on this roster and he's still making a lot of money. But let me know how you guys feel about the Saints moving forward. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.